Welcome back to Patman Garage. We got a very special video today. I'm actually really excited about. We got a brand new product that was that I paid for. It's not a sponsored video or anything like that, but I got a package here from LMR of a brand new product that is just released on the market, and we're gonna open up the package here and take a look and see what we got, and we'll do a little compare and contrast. So let's jump into the box, see what we got. Packing material and a new box and some new hardware. Awesome. So what do we have in the box here? So ironically, still sitting here on the back of my truck is the third brake light from my Blackwood that I purchased. So this is the box for the third brake light. But anyways, this is the new LMR replica lightning third brake light. So this is an original one purchased back in 2009, I believe. And this is going to be our new LMR replica. So we're going to unbox this guy and we'll take a look at cosmetically what does this one look like compared to the original. We may do a little bit of testing and see what we can find. Okay, and we got this little box opened up here. We got some packing foam and looks like it is very well packaged, very well protected. And it's got on top of the bag itself, it has some shrink wrap on it, help prevent scratching. Compared to the Ford packing, was just wrapped in, this particular one was wrapped in just paper. I don't recall it's been so long since I bought that one originally. I don't remember how that one was packaged, but I imagine it was probably pretty similar here. First glance, the harness looks a little bit different. This grommet looks a little softer than what Ford uses. That is not necessarily a bad thing. Just noting visible differences here. And we have a little jumper harness connector that we don't have. But interesting design overall. We'll get this one removed here and then we can take a better look at them side by side here. In the actual removal, we just have two Phillips screws, one on each side, and the new third brake light did include new hardware, which is interesting because, and I'll show you when I get this one out, the factory actually has a little bit of a sleeve portion to it that helps keep the water out, as well as helping keep the screw retained. So these are just loose hardware with no sealant on them. So you may want to do something to add or mimic that sealant when you install it on your truck. I did want to point out the hardware differences I talked about. This is the LMR screw. This is the Ford screw. You can see there's a clear layer of silicone on it, and that provides resistance inside the housing in the tube that it goes into, as well as a little bit of extra sealant capabilities as well. My other concern, if you lived in a super wet environment, is this grommet on the LMR has holes through it that are not used. So you may want to just do a little dab of silicone or something in the face of that, just to help keep that sealed up, just so you don't have any problems. I would say at a minimum, you'd want to install it where the wires are down. That way, if you had any moisture running along your wiring, and if it was facing up like this, let's say you had moisture following along your wires and going into your grommet, then you would have additional paths into the truck there. So not, like I said, not big deal there, but could be if you lived in a really wet environment. All right, we wiggled the third brake light out of there. It is not easy to get out. Like I said, this grommet is a beast. It's really, really tough to compress and get out. So honestly, the LMR version might be a little bit better from a serviceability standpoint. But like I said, outward appearances here. You can see the third brake light does have a little bit of cracking on our, this is the original one. You can see it was built in 2007. A little bit of cracking here on the surface of the sealant. So I may actually do a little bit of extra sealant now that I have this thing apart. Do a little bit of cleanup on this guy to preserve that circuit board from getting worse. And we'll take a look at the LMR version. In the LMR version, circuit board is a little bit different design, but looks like it's all the same shape and dimensions there. Looks like they forgot to get a retainer installed here for the harness. Not into the world there. Interesting that Ford's retainer is on the, no, it was upside down, excuse me. Ford's retainer's on the bottom, LMR's retainer's on the bottom. Probably would have run this the other direction because this little tag's going to be, it might interfere going in to be installing in the truck there since it's hanging down low. The bulb sockets look pretty standard. Not really crazy that they're, again, this may end up being an interference fitment if they are pointing down. Ford ones are pointing horizontally. I don't know if it's going to be a fitment issue or not, but we'll find out. But bulbs look pretty similar. The housing itself looked pretty similar when I was looking at it. There's just enough differences there. I don't think you could really swap parts interchangeably between the two of them here. Let's take a look at the pretty side here. Let me pull the wrap off this. I'll be right back with you. All right, and appearances here look pretty similar overall. The actual design of the housing looks very, very similar. It does actually say LMR branding on it. Get you in here and take a look at that. There you go. And then it has their version of their DOT certification, which obviously is different than Ford's version of their DOT certification. And there's your Ford logo down here on the lower right hand side. But like I said, overall appearances, man, this LMR is a pretty convincing side by side here, but they're pretty similar. The texture looks pretty close. The color is maybe slightly off. They do note that on their website that the color, you may want to paint it. Now, this truck has basically been garage kept since the third brake light install. Now, you know, obviously the UV plastic or UV can fade. There, you can see I have a little bit of fading up here on the top side. And actually, I just realized when I was taking out the third brake light that this is actually broken in here. I hadn't noticed that previously. I'm not sure how long that's been broken, but so, you know, even on a unrestored truck, the trim's going to have a little bit of variances in color. So I wouldn't necessarily be immediately upset that this doesn't look exactly the same color as something that, you know, this one has been on the truck for 15, 16 years. So the coloration might be slightly different just because of how this one has faded over time. But again, not into the world. And we can get in real close and look at the actual LED board. So this is the LMR version and the Ford version. So you can see there's a little bit difference there. The Ford version looks like there's a, kind of hard to get out on camera here, but it almost looks like there's a secondary shroud inside of it that looks a little different. Maybe it's just the lens of it. But overall appearances are pretty similar. These are a little bit more rounded, a little bit prettier looking, versus seeing the actual face of the LED chip and square cut. Just doesn't quite have that same look to it, but I mean, I'm zoomed way in and looking way close. I mean, even from here, you can't tell the difference in the LED appearances, so, or barely can, I guess I should say. But I did want to kind of go through some of the details here. And here is the side-by-side comparison of the third brake lights actually in operation. So the actual brake light being on. So to the eye, I would say the LMR maybe is just a tiny bit brighter. Not by much, but just a little bit here. We can do a little bit of back and forth here. Maybe we'll just filter it. There you go. So yeah, the foam make it look like the LED on the LMR is just slightly brighter. Not by much, but just a little bit. Granted, the LMR is a newer unit as well, but so that's that one. And I can move over and we can do cargo lamp comparisons next here. And again, they look pretty similar. Of course, the original Ford one is going to have a little bit more of an older bulb in general. We can do a filter on it again here. So very similar on that to the eye. I think it's just more of a bulb clarity just from being a newer bulb, but very, very similar output overall on both the cargo lamp and on the brake lamp. And here's all the light. Like I said, pretty similar output overall. So I think that was a worthwhile comparison video here. Like I said, completely unbiased in the sense that LMR did not pay me to run this video, and they did not send me a light for free or anything like that. I paid for the light that I bought. I paid for the LMR light, and I paid for the Ford light a long time ago. So, like I said, as unbiased as you can be overall. But like I said, I think it was a good comparison, and honestly, pretty happy with the way it stacked up. So, you know, being the $150 price tag, I mean, you're going to spend, you know, 100-ish on just a generic LED third brake light. So having a nice looking unit that actually mimics the factory one, I think is a big deal. But overall, like I said, very happy with the product. I think it was worthwhile purchase for the comparison, and I may end up tossing we'll see, but I may end up tossing that third brake light onto my Blackwood now, since I have that as an option. So anyways, I appreciate you checking out a comparison video. It's a little bit different than what I normally do, but I appreciate it either way. Feel free to leave me a comment or share or like or whatever you want to do with the video. And again, thank you, and I will catch you in the next one.